He had a name once. It mattered to people for a time. It was spoken in rooms, written on things, called out across distances. But that was before everything narrowed, before the world became smaller, quieter, reduced to a single, repeating act, kneeling. He didn't remember when it started properly, only that, at some point, asking became routine. Not out of panic, not even out of faith at first, just habit, like breathing, like checking the door was locked. He would kneel, bow his head, speak, and wait. At the beginning, the waiting felt full, like something might arrive at any moment. A shift in the air, a presence brushing against thought. Something, anything, nothing came. He told himself it wasn't supposed to be immediate. That answers, if they existed at all, came slowly, filtered, measured. He had read that somewhere, or heard it. It sounded right. So, he continued. Days stretched, then folded into each other. The words changed, but the structure didn't. Ask, pause, listen, silence. It wasn't an empty silence. That was the first thing that unsettled him. It had texture, weight, like standing in a room where someone else should be, but wasn't visible. The kind of quiet that presses against the ears until you start hearing things that aren't there. He leaned into it, stayed longer, spoke softer, then louder, then not at all. Still nothing. A thought came to him slowly, like something surfacing from deep water. What if it wasn't that no one was listening? What if someone was, and choosing not to respond? He didn't like that thought. It changed the shape of things. Absence could be explained, ignored, dismissed. But silence, chosen silence, meant intention. He tried to shake it off, prayed harder. If that's what it was, the words became sharper, more precise, less polite. He asked direct questions, demanded clarity, pushed, as if persistence alone could force a response. Nothing. No anger, no comfort. Just that same, measured quiet. He stopped asking for things after a while. That surprised him. Not because he had lost faith, but because the act itself began to feel misplaced, like speaking into a conversation that had already ended long before he arrived. So he changed. He didn't speak, he just knelt, listened, and in that listening, something shifted. Not outside, inside. The silence began to organize things. Not gently, not kindly, but precisely. Moments began to fall into place without explanation. He would move, and only later realize why that movement mattered. He would stop himself mid-action, with no clear reason, and later see what would have happened if he hadn't. It wasn't guidance. There was no voice attached to it, no reassurance, just correction. Subtle, exact, unarguable. He began to understand something then, something that sat cold in the center of him. If there was something listening, it did not need to speak. Speech was for the uncertain, for the limited, for things that required explanation. This, whatever it was, did not. One evening, he knelt again. Not out of habit this time, not out of hope, just recognition. He didn't bow his head fully, didn't close his eyes. He simply existed there, in that same heavy quiet. And for the first time, he didn't wait for an answer, because he understood now. If something infinite had been present all along, then the silence was never a failure to respond. It was control, deliberate, absolute, and whatever had been listening to him had never needed to say a word.